This is not your ABC, CBS, or WGN. This is CAN TV, Channel 21.
Channel 21.
And I am your host, Stephen Black Butterfly Carter. And this is Black Star Still Rising. Our sponsor is the Black Star Project. So glad that we have such a great sponsor. And we always give tribute to Phil Jackson, the founder of the Black Star Project, and also give tribute to Gloria Smith, the executive director that keeps the Black Star Project still going, alive, and serving Chicago. I want to say my thanks now because I'm always afraid, Jim, I'm going to introduce you in a minute, that always, if we get towards the end, they say wrap. I haven't had a chance to give tribute to Rocio, our studio producer. And Imani, is Imani back there yet today? Imani out of the studio. See, wave, that's where wave to the crowd. They're both there today. They make this possible along with Dr. Mike Washington, who is the associate producer for the Black Star Still Rising, and also Ellis Taylor. Got an exciting program for you today. Got one of my main man and one of Chicago's main man with quite a history. James Compton, former CEO, president. You had a few titles at the Chicago Urban League over the years.
Over time.
And when did you come back in 1970? You started in 1972?
Well, I actually started at the Chicago Urban League under Bill Berry
Bill Berry,
in 1965.
Is that the internship or you just getting your feet wet?
That was an employee.
Okay.
Bill hired me in 1965, and I held several low-level positions.
Kind of starters.
As a start.
Okay,
Then I left Chicago in 1969 and went to New York for a tour there, and then returned upon the request of
Bill Berry?
No, Bill Berry supported it, but
yeah.
it was at the request of the board of directors under Mrs. Carrie B. Preston.
Oh, Carrie Preston, yes.
Carrie Preston.
Let me stop for a minute, James. I forgot, there are two major parts of your introduction. First of all, you're a Morehouse man.
Yes, sir.
I wish I could have been a Morehouse man. And you're an Alpha man.
I try to be.
You've been more than trying to be a good Alpha man. But you had about 30-something years in with the Urban League before.
Well, I had 35 as the chief executive officer of the Chicago Urban League. I also had a little tour of duty in Binghamton, New York, as the founding executive.
I want to direct you. See this lady out there?
In Binghamton.
Tell her. Okay, go ahead.
Binghamton, New York. And then
how far out of New York City is that? Binghamton. I've heard of it.
It's in upstate New York, near the capital.
Rochester?
Rochester. Not Rochester. Albany and
Albany,
that
okay.
area. Vastly different than New York City and Manhattan and what have you, Harlem and what have you. And then I did a little consultancy at the national office for a brief period, just on a project.
National Urban League?
Yeah,
Okay.
on a project, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know what? Your folks, our listening, our viewing audience, will be very interested, one, in you contrasting what you faced coming in. And I'm interested, too. When you came in as CEO or president of your first major position with the Urban League, what were the things that you were facing, that you were charged with doing or making things happen. What were the big challenges when you came in? That was about 1972?
That was 1972 when I came in as what was then called the executive director. I was
Okay.
executive director from 1972 to 1978. Then we had a restructuring, a
Okay.
reorganization, where the president, who has been the president of the board, historically became chairman of the board, and the executive became president and chief executive officer.
What was the city experiencing that the Urban League directed their attention to? There are probably 4 or 5 things, and I probably can tell you some of the things I'm interested in, but what were the challenges that you saw? What they told you, here's what we got.
Well, if you're talking about societal
Yes.
challenges, if you're talking about challenges of the city, which were comparable to most major cities at that time, whether it be Cleveland, Detroit,
Next
LA,
door, Gary, okay.
The challenges were, economic, obviously, income, jobs. That was a primary focus.
Let's talk about their jobs then, because that was also the time where construction and getting into the trades was a major target, you might say, of the people in the community. Would you say that was one of the major things?
That was one of our major programs, along with some other organizations. We created Black Contractors United.
Oh, yeah,
Chicago
BCU,
Urban
yeah,
League.
right, yeah.
BCU was
Yeah.
created right at the offices of the Chicago Urban League.
Yes.
But we worked cooperatively with many other organizations at the time. Some of them had different methodology than the Chicago Urban League. We were steeped in
Jobs.
research, understanding the issues, understanding the power forces, understanding who was in charge, and so
And you probably identified through the statistics and the research what anybody who was trying to do something, you backed them up with statistics and information.
yeah,
Okay.
we had a research orientation, and knowing the issues,
Identifying them.
knowing the people engaged, the organizations, the difference between labor and management, and who ran these various entities. And so one of our major undertakings was Project 110, which was partially funded by the Illinois State Employment Service, just to try to get 110 African American young men, no women at the time, African American young men into the
Trade?
apprenticeship program.
Apprenticeship program. Leading to being in
which is the methodology of that industry, going through apprenticeship and then into
journeyman.
journeyman and sometimes ownership. So we pioneered that. I remember the head of the Illinois State Employment Service at that time was a gentleman called Samuel Bernstein.
Oh, I know that name.
Sam
yes.
Bernstein, who was very helpful in not only in the funding aspect, but also in guidance and sharing information and introductions. And but with all of that, it still was a very difficult ordeal and effort, and continues to be in getting.
And we're going to talk about that, how things that were yesterday are still happening today. And we're going to talk about the education, and not just with but the school systems, etc. You've seen a lot of changes there. Now we're almost in an elected school board. And I have an idea, because I was in the trades back then, of what it meant in the Chicago public schools to get contracts, etc.
Well, obviously, the schools have always been center for in the city as far as trying to educate the public schools. I'm talking
Yes,
about,
right.
particularly in trying to educate and get kids at grade level and beyond so that they could, once they got to high school and graduated, they would be prepared either to enter the workforce in some kind of capacity, in a training capacity or mentorship type program, or go to college or junior college or trade school. And that was a challenge back then.
Well, let's hit housing too, because housing was a difficult thing too back when in the early, not early days, but back 70s, 80s, whatever.
Well, yeah, but and housing has changed over
Yeah.
time because we had a lot of public housing back then, and you know, especially Cabrini Green and Robert Taylor and Stateway and Altgale.
And I was involved
and
in
much of that.
Yeah, the 221D3
Much of that
during that period.
Has disappeared due to demolition, and which has created other challenges and other issues. Much of it because of the fact that there had been poor planning. People didn't really know and understand once you might think you were addressing one kind of systemic problem that you might be facing another that you had not planned for or you did not foresee. And so much of that, as you well know, has been very chaotic, very disruptive, and didn't go according to what those advocates of the demolition of high-rise public housing, which I understand, didn't know what the next steps would be, and the fact that it didn't resolve a lot of problems, but and in addition created some brand new ones.
I want to stop you, not stop you there, I want to guide you into another area, voting, and what that meant, and the impact on voting and getting people out to the polls, because I want to contrast that with what's happening now versus how they're trying to bring down voting and vote. What was it like back then in the days that you were fighting, or everybody was fighting for those?
Well, voter education, voter registration, and get out to polls was a major undertaking that we undertook, some of it based upon my own experience in Atlanta, Georgia, where we went through much of that and beginning to inaugurate the changes, especially in Atlanta, back in the 60s.
When they had the first black mayor there?
Early 70s. So, you know, it's an issue where it's a day to day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year undertaking. I mean, you just can't announce a voter registration 2-day effort.
It's got to be sustainable.
That's not going to work.
Yeah.
So, you know, we undertook the responsibility of educating at our various offices, and we had offices throughout the city, not just the headquarters.
You had satellite offices, okay.
But we had satellite offices, community offices, and, you know, you take like in public housing, you know, we went into the public housing to get the people, to escort them.
To the polls?
Well, first of all, to
register.
Education.
Right.
Education before
Okay.
registration. Registration, and then get to the polls. We established outreach voter registration with Walgreens drugstores, some of the Walgreens drugstores, particularly on the south side, but some on the west side, and 2 or 3 near north side. Walgreens, McDonald's, Jewel Foods.
So you were...
Those were the 3 major cooperating businesses
that you collaborated
that
with
worked with us
okay.
and provided their facilities to allow us to set up booths and tables and all for voter registration purposes. Obviously, it made sense because people gravitated to those locations, and they were very cooperative, worked with us.
Could that
And
happen now, in this atmosphere, nationally especially?
I can't tell you whether it could happen or not, because I don't know what the efforts are, to be
Yes.
honest with you, in that regard. And we also were instrumental and created voter registration in public libraries. That had never been done. And ironically, we got cooperation from the head of the board of elections, who happened to be Republican. Got cooperation from him. The mayor didn't stand in our way. Mayor Daley didn't stand in our way. The chief obstacle we got was a black commissioner on the board of election commissioners, who in a public meeting objected to it and said he was going to stop it.
Okay, can we name it?
I hesitate to
You
name,
hesitate.
but people, yes, obviously, so if you could research it, you would know.
Come on back up close. I don't want to get you away from the TV camera.
You know, I'm not.
Okay.
But I'm
You'll
just
tell me
saying
after.
that was the reality of that situation.
Right.
So we had a big meeting where Leon Finney and I from TWO,
Okay.
we organized hundreds of people and took them to a board of election commission public meeting and challenged the commissioner. And he stood down.
Wait, did some of the Blackstone Rangers and stuff come through at that time?
I can't say if they were any or not. I didn't recruit any of them. But, whether any of them were in that audience, I can't tell you.
I think they might have been an intimidating force.
But anyway, the programs continued to go forward, and that was the beginning of voter registration under the auspices of the city and the Chicago Urban League in public libraries.
Probably that's one of the things that late President Lake Strozier talked about. A voteless people is a hopeless people. And that's one of the things that our fraternity has been good at.
Well, that goes back, as you know, in the history of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity.
Yes.
Goes back, way back. And there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, the reality, it's reality. I mean, voteless people are fairly hopeless. Not entirely necessarily, but certainly the obstacles and the restraints and all are much greater. I mean, we've experienced it in this country from the beginning of our existence in this country, and today from the Trump administration, Trump himself.
But I know that I want to contrast too in your thoughts. I know you're not in the day-to-day trenches anymore.
Not
but
anymore.
But certainly there are things that you're observing from the news and your experience, what is happening. What do you think is going to be the thing that gives us or allows us to be a force using our vote that affects the Supreme Court? We talk about the other things that are happening that will affect us and affect our progeny. What would you say about that? Just as a citizen, as a, how would I put it, as an advocate?
Well, obviously knowing the issues, understanding the issues, organizing, having the appropriate and necessary information, understanding all aspects of a challenge, and then the nitty-gritty hard work of community organization, organizing, And that's not something that's you just say we're going to organize and it gets done. I mean, that's something that has to be worked continuously all the time. And then you have to measure your progress. And what have you achieved? How much have you achieved? What have you not achieved, and why didn't you achieve it?
Sounds like you're using measurement sticks too, that you know from your experience it's important too, how to measure progress.
Oh, you have to be. You have to. It has to be measurable and has to be demonstrable. People have to see it, feel it, understand it, and know that it in fact does work and can bring about change slowly, more often than not, but nevertheless brings about change. But it has to be worked.
Well, I've got two demographics I want you to address. One youth and one seniors. I can say that you and I are both seniors, right?
I guess you can. And you would have told the truth.
But as I tell people, I'm older, not old.
Okay.
I'm an elder, but not elderly. Speaking as an elder, as somebody older who has experience, what would you say to our peers that they need to do or be involved with and engage with? And also, we're going to talk about what our youth, young folks younger than us, need to do.
Well, I mean, you have to work with youth, right, from early childhood.
Okay.
And ingrain in them and teach them and guide them, and in addition to loving them, and raise them. Children can't raise themselves. You guide them and teach them to become independent, but they still have to have necessary guidance and have to provide the required discipline in them, and then they have to follow the rules.
Okay, what about our peers? We can't, I feel, well, I can't retire from engagement and community engagement in some way. And I urge my peers, frat brothers, to Divine Nine members, to that some way you have to be engaged. How would you address that to some of our peers who are considered either elders and but experienced in this city?
Well, fit in where you are comfortable and where you fit in. I mean, I don't think there's a single formula for seniors. We all have had different experiences, different exposure, different backgrounds, different education, different histories. So, all that comes into play. But I will say and do say that I believe all who have had some degree of success in life, you're talking about seniors, have the capacity to impart some of what they know and have gained to a young person coming along. And sometimes it's not engagement. Sometimes it's depending upon your circumstances. It's coming up out of purse and making a contribution to an organization that is doing something, making a contribution to a college, to
That's where they fit in.
UNCF,
Okay.
to your alma mater, to a local elementary school, adopt a school if you can. It's not all just, physical engagement of yourself, but, providing the necessary resources so that others who have the capacity to do these things have the wherewithal to be able to do it.
We had one program that the AARP had here in Chicago, their foundation, and that was tutoring second graders, third graders, first graders, so that they were equipped at an early age to be able to read. And we did that all over the city, and AARP was a big force in that. In fact, AARP used to produce this program. And there were a lot of our brothers who were tutors, myself included, that we feel we made a difference, and that was one way that peers, yes,
Yeah. By all means, that's that. That kind of engagement between a child and an adult, and maybe the school itself, a teacher, a guidance person. Um, different circumstances require different kinds of skills and input. I mean, where you have functioning schools, they function for a reason. High quality teaching, whether you're talking about elementary school, high school,
leadership,
college, the leadership that's there, the guidance, counselors, they make a difference. Where they exist, they're an asset. Where they don't exist, you have some failings within the system and within the child or the children themselves.
Well, I got to tell you this right now. You have made an impression on our audience, me, and I want an encore appearance by you sometime. We can talk some more about things that may be dear to your heart that we can talk about. But I want to thank the normal way we thank you for being on. Get your arms up like this. There we go. Come on, put it up there. Thank you. Oh, I'm blocking.
Right.
I didn't want to block you. Okay, good. Didn't want to block you. But thank you, James,
All right, thank you
for being with us.
Allowing me to be with you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thankful for all your years of engagement with the Urban League and such. Thank you for coming out today. Look for us next week, and look for James Compton again on Black Star Still Rising.